Hey guys, I just wanted to record a video for you because this summer I've been trying out different career pathways, doing new things, making new friends, exploring new places. And a big thing that's kind of surprised me that I hope could come as a motivating message to some of you all is like there are so many people waiting to meet you and waiting to love you. And you might not have any self esteem. There might not be anything fun going on in your life right now. But that is why we emphasize so much to try new things. Now, there were times I could not even like leave the house, during the pandemic when I was younger, if I didn't have the money or ability to go anywhere, transportation. And I would sit home and learn a language. I learned how to dance. I learned like so many skills that now that I'm having fun and I can meet people, they're like, wow, how do you know how to do that? That's so crazy? And so I really encourage you to look forward to your future. I know this is kind of generic in theory, but for me, there were so many times I just felt so stuck. I didn't know what to do next. And this summer, I've tried out new jobs, and it's always scary trying a new job. You're like, am I gonna do it? And I think this video comes as advice to myself too, because I'm actually starting another new job soon. Talking about part-time versus full-time work and things like that. But I literally thought to myself, "Oh my gosh, I'm so scared. I'm not prepared for this." And it's like you are as prepared now as you are ever going to be. And I can't emphasize enough how many people there are out there that are going to love you and support you. And I just remember my friend and we went on a trip to another city, a few months ago, and the meme like they love me here. It made me think of that because everyone I came in contact with was very kind to me. They were complimenting my outfits and my energy, and I just didn't experience that as much in the town I was living in? And I just want you to know that like there are so many people that are going to love you so hard that you haven't even met yet. And not even love like date, but celebrate you and your career, celebrate you for your talents. And it's so encouraging for me as a person that would previously struggle with self-esteem to be able to form an identity of even like a slight cockiness. And I'm not saying I'm cocky, but I'm saying you can go from being a person that is like, oh, I'm not good at anything, I don't have anything to offer, to being like, yeah, I belong here. You know what? Like, and the only way you can get that is through doing new things. And that's why I think that people who exercise and have a good body are seen as attractive because they proven already they have the discipline to do that. You know what I mean? They show up every day for themselves. That is a very magnetic energy where I mean, it speaks for itself. If you're the best at what you do, it speaks for itself. And you might say, oh, I can't do anything, I can't start anywhere. My advice would be do what you can exactly where you're at. I have a tendency to say, and this is why too we emphasize like meet new people, try new hobbies, leave your town, get out of your comfort zone, because sometimes in a weird way how small your surroundings are keeping you small. So for me, I would think to myself, oh, there's not much more for me to do. I've kind of done everything, where I was at. And when you go to a new place, it makes you realize how fun it would be to be functional and have your life together there. Like, for example, I don't really see a need to get dressed up for the day in my town because it's pretty small. But when I go to a big city, it's like, wow, it's actually fun. You feel good. You feel like you belong. You feel motivated. This energy is very magnetic. And I think this is why rich people gatekeep these affluent spaces so much because of the effect it has on your nervous system and your drive. When you're driving around, we always see these memes about this is how everything in America looks. And it's a road with a Waffle House, a hotel, and a McDonald's and a gas station. That's kind of how my area looks a little bit. And I think that gets old. And I've noticed as I've traveled this summer to the city, visited friends who live in the city, it's like just seeing that skyline for me, it always really motivates me. And I know you can't always have the privilege of traveling, but if you can't, it's like how can you make your day-to-day experience be almost traveling adjacent? How can you travel to a new side of you? You know, so many people online act like traveling is a human right. And a lot of people will never step on a plane in their life. So I think I argue it's more important that you are establishing yourself as a person who tries new things, who is open and adventurous and creative and appreciates the things around you. I think, I mean, imagine like start viewing everywhere you go as a tourist, even if it's somewhere you go every day. I noticed for me, when I get off my phone and specifically limit social media use, you're so much more in tune to everything around you. When you go to a city that's, I made a video about this about a year back, but when you go on vacation, you're the highest vibration because you're just curious and you want to be your best self and you're in a new environment. But like, try to bring that energy to your daily life. Think about what things you could be maximizing that you're not, that are actually a blessing and could help you grow. You know, but I just want to emphasize too, as kind of an encouraging story, like there's been jobs where I felt like I wasn't good enough and, you know, friendships and what have you. And when I go to a new city, every time I'm like, they love me here, you know, and I notice that there's so many people who are healing wounds I didn't know I had about my own self-worth and my own capabilities, my own drive and motivation. It's like just the little things I've heard from people about how they perceive me is so meaningful. And it hits different knowing it's like a new chapter of your life, a new career, or a new place. So I really just want to encourage you guys to never give up because I personally am quite young, yet I always get in this trap of saying, oh, I've already been there, done that. There's nothing left for me to do, which is objectively crazy to say at a young age, but we do it our whole life. And like I always say on my channel, my advice could apply to you if you're 90. You know, start being different today. As long as you're alive, there is time. And I think so many of us do the same thing over and over because it's ultimately our judgment we're using. And you can kind of look at things with a totally different perspective and see where you're missing out on opportunities to really maximize your experience. Quite frankly, you can ignore your reality because your reality is your perception of what is going on. All you have to do is change that. Don't perceive things as resistance. And I am giving myself this advice because and if it makes you feel any better, you know, I'm going through, like I said, career change, um, just a lot of transitions. And they scare me because as a person with ADHD, I know I'm going to have to motivate and really lock in. But it's like, I felt like the king of locking in. That's why I made this YouTube channel. You know, I locked in to beat my laziness and go to the gym. And that's another thing. I want to get more consistent with my gym goals. But I think saying these things out loud and kind of really thinking it through, think through the things that scare you and make you sick when you think about them and do those things, you know? Those are the things you need to do immediately, and they're never as bad as you think they're going to be. But I think what's standing between you and a happier you is just maximizing your life, maximizing your gratitude, your awareness, your perspective, and your work ethic. Put more effort into curating who you are, you know, but there are so many people out there who can't wait to meet you and help you grow and love you and ultimately compliment you and build you up. So never get too stagnant in all the other stuff. Have a good one.